You know Dasher and Dancer and Prancer and Vixen, Comet and Cupid and Donner and Blitzen. But do you recall the most famous reindeer of all?
Just
Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose, and if you ever saw it, you would even say it glows. All of the other reindeer used to laugh and call him names. They never let poor Rudolph join in any reindeer game.
Here we are, back at Reindeer Games.
Hello everybody, welcome
To our handwork day.
Handwork Day. So
All
much,
of this
so much.
is on the handwork days.
That's right.
How about you start with your cross stitch?
Okay,
Or
I will.
whatever is on our list.
Well, we've got a lot of lists, so I hope you got a cup of tea and can sit and listen to us for a while. So
We checked it twice.
yeah,
right?
we have cross stitch, which, as if any of you that have been into the shop know, I absolutely love it.
And so do I now because
well,
of her.
It's true. I dragged her down the rabbit hole with me.
I'm loving every minute of it.
Good. So we've curated a lot of kits now that you're going to find sometimes are easier. You know, if you see a pattern and you look at it and think, well, I don't have all those threads or this. We have got a lot of kits in store. There's going to be a lot that will be on sale on the Reindeer Games Handwork Day. So please watch for those. A couple that I want to share with you right now. This one, Flea Market. This has been a huge success. Anybody that knows Lori Holt, she did a flea market sew along for a quilting pattern, and then she has brilliantly now come out with her
A cross stitch.
a cross stitch. She has done this now quite a few times with some of her quilt patterns, and they're great. She also has what we call cross stitch little. They're little cards. They're stitch cards, and they're alphabetized. We are doing letter C and letter N for our kits that we will have. And in those cards, one of them does this particular little set, which is super cute with the hat, the hot cocoa cup, and the skate.
Actually, there's 4.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, for each of the stitch cards, you get 4 cards.
That's right.
4
That's
patterns.
right. So those we're going to do. And one of the other ones that has become really popular, we found over the summer, is the bee kits.
Oh, yes.
So this is one of the examples here. This one is called Hive Rules, and we will be kitting this.
Oh.
So it will have the Ada cloth and all of the floss that you need to complete this particular one, not the mounting board.
No, Tammy made that though. Not
Yes,
this Tammy.
no, the other Tammy. Now, one thing I do want to mention about this, you will notice we have got different Ada cloth that we're using. And Maddie, I know you and I have talked about this, and I've kind of brought you along on some of the excitement of it. So there was a good old-fashioned 14 count, and I think that's what I started you on.
Actually, I started on 16.
Oh, did you?
Because the color I wanted.
Right. You're
wasn't
absolutely
14.
right.
I wanted 14.
I know, and I made you do something different. Well, as she's progressed over the last year, and I've been slowly introducing some new techniques, we are now up to a 25 count.
Yes.
It's almost an even
the
weave.
previous one was a 28 count.
Could have been.
Yeah, I think
Could have
it
been.
was.
So
A
your
little
28 or 25 count, you're working 2 stitches with 2 threads, so 2 over 2.
Yeah.
And it has a very different look than your regular Ada. So also watch for those packets to be on sale during our handwork days. And as I say, you'll notice this one was done, and I want to say this was on the 25.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah. So it's quite lovely, and it really does make a difference.
And the Ada cloth comes in many colors.
Yeah.
Different counts and
Different colors.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of the little things that we have that kind of go with cross stitch. And I just thinking, where do we start?
Might as well start here.
Here's our little floss biddies. Okay, floss biddies. Now, again, this was one of these things I brought in, and there was a few eyebrows raised, but these are wonderful.
Not mine.
Yeah. These are wonderful.
Yeah.
So when you are working on a project that perhaps has, 8, 10, 12 different flosses, you want to keep them neat and tidy. I personally use them all the time. As soon as I get a kit or get a pattern ready to go, I pull all my floss and I make sure I load them up onto my floss biddies. I just use a little tiny sticker on the back. I write the number.
They're
And
plastic, right?
They are.
Yeah.
These are plastic.
Yeah.
So they're all reusable. I just buy a little ring, stick it on there, and I never lose track of all my floss. It's
Right.
there. Personally, I just love the way that works. It can go in my project bag. I have my hoop, my Ada cloth, my pattern. I've got these. I'm ready to go. I keep it in a project bag. So that's those. We also have them in the good old-fashioned DMC cardboard ones as well.
Where you
Where you
wrap it
wind.
around.
You
Yeah.
wind on these ones, and they're perfectly fine as well. So if you use this type, we also have the floss finder, the bin, which is great if you're kind of just getting started on building a project,
Okay.
building up your stash of floss. You can certainly use these cardboard ones, wind them, and then you have them all in your bucket.
And it gives you a space where you can write the number
Yes.
of that floss on
That's
there. So
correct.
when you're looking through, and they're
Yeah.
all in numerical order.
Well, now some
That makes
people
it
like them in
easier.
numerical order, some people like them in color. Okay, next on our list.
say this.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is another one of those items that I had some raised eyebrows about. However, cross-stitch journal.
I
If
just raised my eyebrows.
I-
Just so you know.
So when you have got multiple projects, and not necessarily just multiple projects on the go, but this, what I
Future.
find is future ones.
Yeah.
I'll see something come out and think, oh, I don't want to forget about that. And I write it down, I put it somewhere, and the next thing I know, I've forgotten
a
about
bag.
it.
It's in a bag
It's in a bag somewhere. That's right. Where to,
bag.
perfect, Maddie. It's absolutely it. So I got these cross-stitch journals come in, and honestly, they're great. You can write down what the project, so your pattern name, your designer name, start date, end date, which is, I mean, if
years
you,
apart
yeah,
sometimes.
whatever. There's no judgment here. But the one thing that I really like about it is it gives you a spot to indicate your stitched on, meaning which Ada cloth you're using, stitch count, and stitch size, so the finished size of your actual project. You can keep track of all your floss. So when you're looking at this, you've got a whole spot here to keep your floss. Now, there's also a section in here for floss that you might want to have, or what you do, what you do have. There's up to 50 projects that you can keep in this book. And of course, there is an index at the front. So it's just basically numbered here. So you can just look at the front and know which page to turn to find your project if you're looking for it. Anyway, it's a great handy tool to have if you are a really avid cross-stitcher. Something to think about. Okay, next thing I want to talk about are the cross-stitch line keepers.
I like those.
I know, we introduced those.
Especially when your project is black and white.
Yeah.
It just helps. And I also found that if my project is black and white, I'm getting the colored pencils out. It's so much easier to color it in and see where you're changing over, because sometimes the print is so small and my glasses aren't strong enough. So,
Yeah.
this really helps.
So with these line keepers, they are magnetic. So you literally just slip them onto your page and you move them up and down as you're working on your project. Really a helpful thing to have.
And there's two lengths.
Yes.
So, you know, if you
If
have a
it's
bigger
shorter,
page, yeah.
The other thing is if you have multiple thread changes in a line,
Yeah.
this is something that really helps you keep your eye where it's supposed to be, because sometimes when you've got so many colors to change in one row, it can get a little confusing. Having one of these lines to go right underneath, it helps you stay in line of where you want to be. All right, next we have, so this guy, this is a cross stitch key. Now, there's a couple of really interesting elements that are on this piece that you might think, why do we need this? Well, I'll tell you.
I thought that.
I know.
And then you showed me.
I did.
thought, oh, that's pretty good.
So the first thing on it, it has these little sections where it says cloth counter. So 10 count, 14 count, 16, 18, 25. All these little tick marks that are on here. So what, do you see those?
Yeah.
Okay. When you put that up to your Aida cloth, you are going to be able to, if you don't know what it is, you lost the package. You've just got it sitting in a bag, which can happen. You literally put this gauge up to it, and you are going to know that, oh no, okay, that's an 18 count.
Oh,
That's
okay,
fine.
yeah.
Works perfect. So that's a really handy tool, because quite often
This is what you showed me.
I did,
and I
yes.
thought, okay, I may need one of those.
the other reference guide that it's on this, which is important, is your floss strand. So when you're working on 10 count, generally speaking, it's telling you here to say 4 strands of thread. 14 to 32 count is a 2 strand. So it just gives you a little range and a reference as to what to use if you're not certain and you're just starting out. Needle size also gives you an idea of what size needles to use. Again, great for people that are just sort of starting out. This portion, this is like one of those little multi-tools, you know, that has already these things. So this is a corner guide, and when you are starting, you might look at your piece of Aida cloth and want to know, where's my top corner? And this, so if I want to know, I want to come in 1.5 inches, I'm going to place that on the top corner. I make a spot, just a tiny pencil mark, that's all you need. So then you know that is going to be 1.5 inches in on your Aida cloth, and that's where your starting point is. So for example, on this one, you want to be 1.5 inches in from the edges of your cloth. That's going to be your perfect starting point. Really what this key is going to do is to ensure you're not starting too far off kilter, right? It's going to keep you square to your piece. And it goes all the way up to 2.5 inches in, which is more than enough. More than enough. As long as, and this is just one of those friendly reminders, always either put waistcloth on the edge of your Aida cloth, or zigzag your edges so that you don't get any fraying. The next, you want to do the threads? Okay. Lori Holt, who's, as I think we've said, has done so many amazing cross-stitch kits and patterns. We have come up with the Bee Basics. So this bundle, basically, the Bee Basics collection, is a really good general one that are in a lot of her kits. But the other thing that I really encourage people to do is, if you want to get a bundle, and maybe you see some stitch cards that you like, it's very likely you have a whole bundle like this, you can do them. You can, maybe one might not be actually perfect, but
so
you
close.
can, so close.
So you can sub in.
Yeah.
You can change the colors.
Well,
I
you
know my
could.
sister made the cap, and she
Oh,
did
okay.
it pink.
Oh, lovely.
She reversed her colors.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so getting a kit like this is a great benefit.
Yeah.
Just mainly because these are a lot of her colors. So
Yeah. She loves the brights.
oh yeah, gorgeous, just gorgeous. Okay, cross stitch needles. These are the size 24 John James chenille is what they kind of.
Oh, do they really call
well,
it chenille?
Yeah, the Bowen do as well. 24
Although she
chenille.
says cross stitch here.
Yeah, that's new.
Oh, okay.
So
Those are the ones I use. I really like those.
I know I do too.
I've never tried those. And they're
Yeah.
the same size.
Yes, they are.
Oh.
They are. So, main thing that you want to remember when you've got your cross stitch needles, you never want to have, don't go into your sewing basket and pull out a needle that you would sew a button on with at the same time. Next, we have our needle minders, so we just learned a few moments ago that these things are like little fidget spinners. So if you need a moment, apparently you can use this as a fidget spinner. I had no idea. I thought that was
I
really
didn't
funny. Anyhow, needle minders.
Yeah.
I'm a real huge proponent of these
Oh, yeah. I love them.
because so this on the bottom, on the top, your Ada cloth, you drop your needle on here, you put your work down, your needle's not going to go anywhere. Definitely use a needle minder. Something you want to have.
Yeah. And not even just for cross stitch. When
I was going to say, what about your and
wool?
wool?
When you have to put it down because you're changing your thread for the next piece you're going to use, you always know where it's at.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I love mine. I use it all the time.
Needle threader. I mean, that's
Stitch without it.
this is pretty much just self-explanatory.
Yeah.
We
A lot
all
of
need
people
them.
Don't know how to use it.
No, it's true.
Which is funny.
Yeah. So that's really important. Our scissors, as we just were throwing them around, we got some really cute ones. Those ones these are great for your embroidery. These are the cute little Lori Holt ones, which are super sweet in the green. And these we just got in the rose golds.
Yeah, I like those.
I know you do. Yeah, they're beautiful. So they're just another nice little scissor. The thing I like about them is that the blade is quite flat. So you can get up really close to your work and not be worried that you're going to catch it.
Yeah.
So that's just one of those things.
The other ones that are good for that kind of thing are these. This is a curved blade, and I do rug hooking as well as embroidery and cross stitch and wool applique. And so when you're tying off your threads and you want to clip them close without cutting, it has a nice curved edge.
Yeah, our Ada cloth. I think we talked a little bit about it, but I did want to just go over the fact that we will be having some that will be on sale with our handwork, and check them out. We got a lot of really nice ones, really different ones, different nice colors, different weights, for different skill sets. The kits that we're going to have on have some are a little more advanced, I guess, if you will, but there's also a lot that are beginner friendly.
Yeah,
we've got a lot of
stitch
stuff.
cards are beginner
they're
friendly.
very beginner friendly. Yeah, they are. You know, even flea market, it's not hard.
Yeah.
You know, you just kind of get yourself going.
Yeah. And especially because they are just little squares.
Yeah.
You know, it's not as intimidating as looking at the whole thing.
Right.
And trying to get a whole row. No, you wouldn't work that way.
No. Do you want to start on?
You
do some wool.
Applique.
Do some wool.
So there are a few things that I always use. Soft fuse is one of them. It is a paper-backed fusible web, just like Heat and Bond, only much lighter. You trace your pattern on it. The one thing you have to remember with soft fuse or any kind of fusible web would be that you have to reverse your pattern if you're going to use it for wool applique. I don't know. Yeah, it would be the same
Absolutely.
for cloth applique.
Yep.
You would trace your pattern onto the soft fuse, cut it out, leaving a quarter inch around it, iron it to your wool, cut it out on the line, and then you're ready to apply it to your background. The other thing is, I don't always use wool as my background. All my appliques are wool, but sometimes my backgrounds will be cotton, batik.
Yeah.
And when
Flannel.
I do those,
The
flannel,
woolies.
yes, I often
Yeah,
do flannel.
you've used woolies.
I will use a product called SF101, so it's Shape Flex 101. It's a woven fusible interfacing, and what that does, especially with cottons, is it stabilizes all your edges.
Yeah.
I don't use a hoop when I'm stitching there, and this prevents my edges from warping. And it's easy to roll. If I need to stitch in the center, I'll just roll a corner, and so I have something to hold on to and stitch away. So both of those are on our handwork day.
Yeah.
The next thing are the needles. My favorite needles are Bowen chenilles. These are 20s, and I like 24s as well. I use 24s the most. That one's a Milner needle.
Yes.
So if you're doing embroidery, you want a Milner needle, especially if you're doing those bullion knots, which I just learned how to do.
Oh.
And boy, it's kind of fun.
They're kind of nice. Yeah.
And embroidery number 8s, they're John James. I like those as well. Now these I will use when I don't use Valdani to stitch with, and I don't do a blanket stitch either. I will do a whip stitch with one strand of thread that matches my wool, and that's when I use the embroideries. If I want to do any kind of embellishment, or if I'm sewing a couple of layers or more of wool together, that's when I'll want to use the chenille 20s or 24s. When you're blanket stitching around the edge of an ornament or something, that's when you want the bigger eye needle. And that's also usually when you use a Valdani 8-weight or 12
Okay, I was going to ask you, is there a difference that you use on the weight on that thread?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. And so this year, actually, I got into more of my embellishing using embroidery floss, but using 3 strands or 6 strands even.
Oh, okay.
So you really need the bigger eye. So chenille 20s for that.
That's great.
I don't use these embroideries, but I do know people who use both.
The Tulip brand, it's interesting. The other Tammy and I, she is
Prefer
a
these,
Tulip
yeah.
all the way.
Yeah.
I do have some. I've used them and I really do like them. I think I've just used John James for so long. That's all I've ever used. But they are quite lovely.
Yeah, and they're thinner too.
Yes,
aren't they?
they are.
Yeah,
a little bit.
That would be really nice with some things. So these Milners, they're long and they're straight all the way down. They do have a large eye. So if you're doing French knots, it's a long needle for a French knot. But
it is.
With bullion stitch, you're wrapping your thread around 10 to 15 times. And so you do need a longer needle for that.
What else have you got, Maddie? Oh, your tweezers.
Oh, my tweezers, yes.
Oh.
Tweezers you're going to love, especially these with the bent top.
Yeah.
When you're peeling off the paper of the soft fuse, it's kind of hard sometimes to get that one edge to open up and then just peel it off. But then when you're just positioning everything onto your background, I don't know about you, but the fibers in the wool get caught in your fingers and things like that. So the tweezers are a godsend. They're just, it's so easy to pick it up and put it in place.
Right.
So to me, you have to have these.
Okay.
So we do have 2 kits on offer. This one is the Nuthatch Bliss, and this one is Winter Haven. You get everything in the kit except the backing. This one is done all wool, and this one has a flannel background with wool applique on top. We are also offering just the patterns, and we're also going to do a deal on all of our wool
kits.
kits.
Yeah,
Yes.
all your little ones that you've got done, like your ornaments and all of that.
And there are
Excellent.
some bigger ones as well. I know
Oh, good.
Seaside
Is that one?
Yeah,
Nice. What about this mat? Do you want to talk about this?
yeah. With this mat, and what's it called? Design Pro Applique mat.
Yeah.
So let's just put this
Yeah.
here. It comes with a pressing sheet.
Which is great,
Yeah.
so that nothing gets on your iron.
Right.
When you're using any of the tacky stuff, because that can be
Yes.
hard to wipe off.
Yeah. And this sheet is quite sticky. And,
Yeah,
and
it doesn't move.
yeah, so it won't move. And it doesn't leave any sticky on
No,
your
no.
fingers or anything. It's just that it's there. It's not
Yeah.
moving while you're working. So with this, you would put your image underneath it, and then you would build your. So say
Yeah.
you're doing this barn.
Yeah.
You're going to put all the things that are going to be in the background, and then you put your stuff on top.
So you're building up, basically.
Yes, you are. And so with the soft fuse, you're going to take the papers off, use your tweezers, put them in place, put everything in place. Then you put this pressing sheet on top. You're going to press it, let it cool completely. And with this pressing mat, you don't really have to worry so much about. I know when I don't use this, that I'm just holding my iron down for like 7 to 10 seconds. I lift it straight up, move it over, and count again. With this, I think that you could easily move it the whole time.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure it's adhered, because otherwise it's going to come apart, right? So take this off, let it cool completely, and then you can easily peel it off, and that whole piece is built.
Is now built
now
and
you're
ready to
able
go. That's
put
brilliant.
the whole thing down on your background,
Yeah.
and then stitch it all down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is clever.
Yeah.
The way that's done.
Oh, I like that. So applique. For some reason, I don't know, it went by the wayside for a long time.
People used to say the A word.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I love applique.
Now, well,
I
because you do.
before.
Yeah, you
I
do
did
all of
before.
this beautiful
Yeah.
wool work. I mean, it's essentially the same. A little bit different in that you wouldn't do a whole quilt in wool.
No.
Because it would cost you a fortune. So, you know,
And it'd be heavy.
it would be heavy.
yeah.
Yeah, I never thought of that. It would be very heavy. So we've kind of talked about the clover mat that you would use for wool work,
Okay.
but you can do it for your regular applique work with cottons as well. It's phenomenal. The other thing that we have for your applique work is the freezer paper. Now,
Which you can also use for wool applique.
this one, the bonus with this particular is that it goes in your printer if you so want to. However, disclaimer here, inkjet printer only. If it goes into a laser, it will melt your paper and it will be mucky and messy, and then we will get people upset with us. If you are doing, let's say, something that you're able to print, you've got to do, 100 leaves,
Yeah.
right? You do it on one paper, then photocopy it onto all of your freezer paper. If you need to make multiples, this is really the way to go.
Yeah.
When you are working with applique, you tend to use, well, for fabric, you use a 80 to 100 weight thread.
Oh.
So it's very, very fine. And you want a needle that is going to work with that. So these tulip number 10s are great for your...
They must be really thin.
They are. They're very,
Yeah.
very thin.
Are they short? Or are
Yeah, they are shorter. You don't want a needle like a 24 chenille, because when you're...
Or a Milner's.
No, because what's going to happen is, the whole idea of applique is that you hide that stitch.
Yeah.
Well, if you're using a large needle, it's going to look like you're driving a railroad post through that fabric, and it's going to leave a big hole.
Yeah.
It just is. It's going to look terrible. So the number 10s, big eye, meaning At least you can thread it a little bit. It's helpful.
still use it, yeah.
Or use this, absolutely. This is Quilters Select has these pre-wound, and now they're bobbins, but they are 80 weight. If you're doing a lot of applique and you find that you know, your thread always matches the piece you're working on, not the background.
Right.
Important, right? So this is a good little one to have because it is nice and fine. Lots of colors. You can probably make this match most of what you're working on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you've got a project that requires, you've got the black and white as well. So it's really good. I highly recommend working with these. So these ones are the Kai scissors. They are the 4-inch. Okay. So when you're doing applique, a lot of the time you have real precision work. It's right, you know, you're wanting to kind of clip right into a cleavage so that you get a nice curve and a nice turn. A lot of the time you know, you can't use big heavy duty scissors. You need very fine work. These work great. The other thing that these are good for is when you're cutting out a shape on your freezer paper. Your freezer paper is always the starting point of what you're going to be, what your shape is going to look like. So if you have that nice smooth clean line that your freezer paper is cut with around the shape, using these you just get a really nice nice edge. Anyway,
they cut to the point.
yes,
Right
directly to the point. So they're wonderful. I really like those. So let's talk about some of these shapes. These are, now I mean, yes, we did talk that you can draw out your shapes. However, if you are doing a million circles, these are the little guys, and these are leaves in this one. These are circles, and these are ovals. When you're doing a lot of them, it can be a pain to cut out that much in paper.
Yes.
Okay. These are all heat resistant. You just basically trace your fabric, and you do a, you know, your 1/4 inch, and you can iron on these.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and you're going to have that nice perfect edge.
So when you say iron on them, can you put them right on your fabric and you wouldn't
Yeah,
really...
no, you're going to cut out just like you normally would an applique piece, right? So I would trace around. I would put this little piece down on my fabric.
Trace around it.
Trace right around it. And then,
Lift
or because I want to keep that nice edge, I'm going to keep it there. And I'm just going to bring my iron over and gently fold over so I have a nice needle turn.
Seams,
You can use a little bit of starch, you know, the liquid starch. Those of you who have taken our applique class, you have kind of all learned about that.
Yeah.
The whole idea is it gives you perfect ovals every single time. Perfect circles every single time. And the little leaves.
Yeah.
Okay. Stems. Stems are one of those things that people struggle with sometimes. This is great. This gives you a multitude of sizes for your stems. And basically it's the same idea. You're just folding your fabric over, but because they're heat resistant, you can put your iron on it. And you get that nice clean edge. This could be used on bias, because quite often with applique you get those seams that have got nice curves and nice little, they're stems, sorry. So that's what those are for, and these are all on with our handwork day. So they're great. This one has 4 8.5 by 11 sheets of heat resistant template paper. If you're going to be doing something that is an odd shape, but you're going to be doing, I don't know, you know, 100 flowers of this.
car.
Yeah, I mean,
A truck, whatever.
you can draw it
Yeah.
on here and just continually reuse it.
Yeah.
Much easier, you know, and quicker.
Yeah.
If you want to do that.
This flower right here is a good example. Of
Yes, it is.
One you're not going to get a shape to.
No,
so you have
no,
to
you're
create
gonna.
your own.
You would have to draw that,
Yeah.
and that would be a pain.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's wonderful. Okay, this stuff again, it's not one of those things that you need it a lot of, but it's really nice to have in your arsenal of.
We still get asked for.
Oh yeah,
paper,
yeah. That's because it's my goal in life to bring applique back full force.
Just like you brought the cross stitch in, eh?
There you go. Okay, so sorry, Maddie, I kind of went in front of you there. Other things for applique, and I want to talk a little bit, and I'm kind of going back to the Lori Holt here. She has some amazing applique, and I know we've talked about it a little bit in the store. So she has a very different method than using the freezer paper and that sort of thing. She uses Pellin 30, which is a form of interfacing.
Yeah.
And I want to call it a flip and sew for lack of a better, without going into a whole tutorial on how she does it. Anyhow, it's great. You have no raw edges. Out of the classes I've taught, most of them have gone towards that method.
It's fusible, right?
No,
no?
no, it's not fusible. That's the exciting part.
Yeah.
So you're sewing these shapes, you're slitting the back, and you flip it inside out.
Yes.
You smooth it all around, and
like
you
that
put it down.
method.
It's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
It really is. And this was really cute. I was so excited when I saw this. So this is the point turner, but it's
Perfect
just
for
super
that.
cute.
Yeah.
Right? Look at that with the little bird. So what this does is when you're trying to smooth out those corners or the edges, like on a circle or an oval or any of that.
A leaf with the
Any of the
points.
leaf,
Yeah.
yeah. It's gentle enough of a curve.
Yeah.
It does kind of come to a little bit of a point, but it's really
You want
nice.
that.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of these cushion covers I have to make, and when you flip them out, you want your points there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. So, anyways, these are really great. The next I want to talk about is a little bit about the fabric glue sticks. Okay. So, when you have your pieces that are either done with the templates or with the Pellin 30, you do need to glue these down. Some people like to pin, and we will talk about our pins in a minute. I like to just put a little dab of glue on the center, not too much.
Just to
Hold it in place,
Yeah.
okay? And then, or you have the Sudeli glue, which is just a drop or two, which holds it in place. And it's honestly, it's whatever you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
Some people really like the glue pen.
Yeah, I've used those a lot.
Have you?
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people like them. And we have the refills, which is great. They're quite economical. This is wonderful as well. It dries well and it washes out. That's the most important thing when you're using this.
Yeah.
So if you make a bit of a mess or a drop somewhere, don't panic. It's going to wash out.
Yeah.
Okay. These are our perfect pins, and these are really short. So what we use these for is when some people, when they are appliquing, they like to pin their work down, not glue it
Right.
onto their background.
Right.
The last thing you want is a great big long pin,
Or
or thick,
Yeah.
right? Because that will distort your work. These tiny
These
little,
are very fine.
they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what you would do with these is, you would layer up your piece, have it all together and ready to go. And by having these tiny pins in, as you're working around, your working thread does not catch on all these long
Yes,
pins that you would
yes.
have, which would be a pain.
I
So
know, I've done that.
yeah, so these are great. I mean, they're fabulous. really good size, and I like them. I quite often, there are times I don't want to use glue because my piece might be super duper small,
Okay.
and I don't want to have to try and stitch through glue.
Yeah.
So I will use the little pins, and they're quite good. Oh
That's
yes.
the only thing we haven't talked about.
Yeah, it's important too. This macaron, and it is for sharpening your needle. And I know, you know, it's just one of these cute little guys. Okay, so it also has a magnet, which is important, okay, that it can stick. But inside, I don't know, it's something magic in there.
Yeah.
You stick your needle in, and it actually sharpens up your needles. So, I mean, I don't know if you've been dragging them on
if
the
you're
cement,
stitching a lot,
but it will.
When I do embroidery, after a while,
Your needle can get dull.
Yeah, and same with the wool applique.
I would imagine more with the wool, would it be?
Well, I've been using mostly the bigger ones, so
Oh,
not
okay.
too bad. But the finer ones, yeah, they'll get a little burr.
They do.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what this is for,
Yeah.
and that takes that off.
I thought it was just a needle minder, but boy,
Oh,
I learned something today.
Okay, guys. Well, I think we have touched on everything here. I hope that you've found something for handwork that you might be interested in. Some of the things that we've got in the wool applique are beginner friendly. Definitely in our cross stitch, we've got some beginner friendly, we've got some advanced. Try it out, try your hand, see if you like it. You know, you never know until you try. And some of these things have faded away a little bit.
Yeah.
But we're trying to bring those, you know, some excitement back with these really cool things.
Yeah, it's funny because we never had cross stitch in the store. I've been here 13 years, and I think it's just since you came that we brought cross stitch in, and it's gone like wildfire.
It has. People are really excited about it, and I think it's great.
Yeah, and the patterns too.
Well, they're fun.
your
They're fresh.
grandma's
No.
patterns, although some of those are really nice.
Well, they are, but you know, one of the
They're
other
fun.
things that we are really promoting and that I'm teaching in the class for cross stitch, we don't have to mount
No.
under glass,
Right.
under a giant heavy frame,
Yeah.
a piece of cross stitch.
Yeah.
There are so many ways and so many unique things that we can do with it, like this. This
Or
is
this,
incredible,
even.
you
The
know.
smaller things,
Yeah.
yeah.
We've got lots and lots of different ones, and if you've been
Yeah.
in the store, you've probably
You'll see
seen
them, yeah.
how many things we've mounted in the store and done differently.
Yes.
Made little tiny pillows and pin cushions, all kinds of stuff. We're lots of fun.
We are.
Yeah.
You could tell by this video.
Yeah. Thanks.
Anyway, Merry Christmas.
Yes. Merry Christmas to
And we'll
everyone.
Yeah, we'll see you in the shop.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.